Many have claimed that Borrowdale in the Lake District is the loveliest valley in England. Such praises are, of course, always a matter of personal opinion, but it must rank high on any list, and my walk today, which shows much of Borrowdale's exceptional beauty, certainly supports the claim. My walk begins in the hamlet of Seatoller, which lies near the head of Borrowdale on the B5289 at the east foot of the Honister Pass. Seatoller consists of a farmhouse, 2 B&Bs, a tea shop and 2 rows of cottages. Many of these cottages were built to house quarry workers, and slate has been quarried nearby continuously since the 17th century. I've come to Seatoller this morning because I'm going to do a walk from here through the Borrowdale Valley. I walk through Seatoller towards Honister Pass, and where the road bends to the left, I turned off to follow a footpath which climbed up quite steeply. As I continued to climb, the views back towards Seatoller were fantastic. At the top, I passed through a gate in the wall, where the path started to level out. Soon my view ahead became dominated by the twin wooded heights of Castle Crag and King's How on either side of the valley. I continued ahead, high above the village of Longthwaite, which I could see in the valley below. carried on along the path, which led on to Castle Crag. The crag has an impressive appearance. Its slopes extensively quarried, with pits and levels on the northern and southeastern flanks. The summit has also been extensively worked. The High House Quarry later achieved fame as the home of Milliken Dalton, the eccentric and self-styled Professor of Adventure. The caves here formed his summer home from the 1920s, until shortly before his death in 1947. The summit area is believed to have been an ancient hill fort, although the western section has been sliced away by quarrying. It can only be gained by means of a sloping crack to the south. The very highest point is a rocky outcrop, about 8 feet high and 12 feet across, on the top of which is a well-constructed circular cairn of slate. A memorial to Borrowdale men killed in World War I is attached to the outcrop. The path started to descend below the almost vertical slopes of the 980-foot-high crag. As I walked downhill, I could see ahead a fine view of Borrowdale, opening out at the foot of Derwent water. At the bottom of the descent from Castle Crag, I entered woodland, and soon came to the banks of the River Derwent, at an exceptionally idyllic beauty spot called Bowder Dub. Here the river flows calmly between wooded banks, the whole scene dominated by King's How. I followed a path along the west bank of the Derwent, which gradually moved away from the river the further I walked. At a fork, I turned left to follow the bottom edge of a wooded cliff, first between the towering crags of High Spy, and later the smoother flanks of Maiden Moor, before passing through Hollow's Farm. I soon came out onto a lane very close to the Borrowdale Gates Hotel. Turning right here, I walked along the lane into the village of Grange. Grange is a highly attractive village situated at the entrance to the jaws of Borrowdale, where the valley squeezes between Grange Fell and Castle Crag. Holy Trinity Church was built in 1861. While standing on Grange Bridge, a young lady called Margaret Heathcote remarked how nice it would be to have a chapel in Grange. So she raised the money, and within 11 years the church was built. There is a photograph of Miss Heathcote in the porch showing an aristocratic old lady. The village school was built in her memory. There are no pubs in Grange, but the village does have a couple of popular cafes, Grange Cafe and Grange Bridge Cottage Tea Shop. If you want to stay in Grange, it contains a few self-catering cottages, as well as hotel accommodation at the Borrowdale Gates Hotel. Hollows Farm, which I passed a little earlier, also provides self-catering, bed and breakfast and campsite accommodation. The impressive double-arched bridge over the River Derwent was built in 1675, but Grange's origins are much earlier. In medieval times, the monks of Furness Abbey, who owned this part of Borrowdale, built a monastic grange here. Just behind Grange Cafe, I turned off to follow a track exiting the village, and briefly rejoined the earlier part of the route near Bowder Dub. Upon reaching Bowder Dub again, I took the path signposted to Longthwaite, which continued along a delightful woodland path, with the river below on the left, and King's How towering above the opposite bank. Emerging from the woods, the path broadened out and became more open. I soon came to stepping stones crossing the Derwent to a path leading to Longthwaite. My route, however, was not to Longthwaite, but just for fun, I decided to walk across the stepping stones and back again. The path by the river soon led me to Longthwaite Youth Hostel. I passed in front of the hostel, keeping ahead by the river for a little while longer, before bearing right away from it and following a path along the edge of Johnny Wood. I cannot believe how lucky I've been with the weather today, as well as all the previous days I've been here in the Lake District this week. It's been absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have asked for a better week of weather. At the end of the wood, my path led me back into Seatoller and the starting point of my walk. Well, I'm back in Seatoller, so I've finished my walk, and it's been yet another fantastic walk. I'm just going to wait for the bus back to Keswick now. I decided to leave the car behind today, so I'm looking forward to a little bus trip back to the B&B. More importantly, I should say thank you, Mum. I've had a wonderful 50th birthday present. I couldn't have asked for a better present to come here to the Lake District.